The nostalgia of that scene with Team 7 reuniting once again and seeing a little bit of where they were when it all started and where they're at now definitely gave me a little bit of the chills. So with this week's chapter, we mostly get revelations of some things that have happened in the past. We do get from the very start that Sakura has been saved by Obito, and for the most part, Obito is pretty much fuck out of luck right now. Like, Madara is about to go in and do some serious demolition to that ass. Now, the way Obito was talking about the Rinnegan and the little flashback with Sakura, pretty much how it was beyond overwhelming for him to have the two eyes, so that's why he settled for one. At first, I always assumed that the reason why he had one and the other was because his Kamui power was his ace in the sleeve. You know, that was his ace in the hole in order to defeat everyone. Nobody knew how to bypass it. And I thought, well, if he didn't have both of his eyes and he had just Rinnegan, then the Rinnegan would make him lose that ability. And he didn't want to lose that because that was very vital to Obito. But we find out in this chapter that basically it was so overwhelming for him that he couldn't even attempt to do that. And pretty much if the original owner got both eyes, it would be troublesome. Or if anybody, the thing is, he said if anybody got, you know, both of the eyes, it would be troublesome. But Naruto had both of the eyes, and, you know, Naruto was still able to defeat him. But I'm imagining what he was also saying, because he did mention that I'm not even the true owner, and look all that I did. I wasn't the true owner of the Rinnegan, and look, I just, you know, did a lot of carnage. So I'd imagine that since Madara was the original owner, the Rinnegan would even be way stronger than when Nagato had it, simply because he's the original owner of it, even though Nagato, I guess, like, Uchiha really can't handle the Rinnegan, and that's why Nagato didn't have a problem with it, but since Madara's the original owner of it, he'd be able to do so. And this chapter also kind of makes me feel like it's really hard in a way to properly review a chapter when, like, you know, 10 chapters, 20 chapters later, we get content like this where pretty much we find out that Obito never really lost that fight technically to Kakashi. In a way, he pretty much threw the fight so that way he could get that puppet seal removed from him, and that's why he let Kakashi pierce him through. So Kakashi never really won that fight, and it makes me go back and think to that review where I was kind of like, yeah, so Kakashi defeated him. How does that all make sense and everything? So definitely, when you reading this on a weekly basis instead of marathoning it, it does seem sometimes problematic, some issues where the author can either, you know, solve it later on down the road, or he may not solve it ever again. So it's never safe to say that something is indeed a definitive plot hole, I guess, until the story is completely over, because, you know, something like that was very controversial. I remember when it went down, the fight between Obito and Kakashi, everybody was like, that's BS, Kakashi shouldn't have defeated him, you know, Kakashi couldn't defeat Pain, and Obito was the original, you know, the real leader behind the scenes, so therefore, how the hell, you know, does that make sense? But pretty much Obito threw the fight the entire time, so that definitely is a lesson when reading weekly manga, that it might seem like a plot hole now, it can get addressed later. And then we get the big reveal that Madara was on some eyes and shit, and indeed orchestrated the entire Rin thing. I remember reading back then, thinking to myself, this seems way too coincidental, how Zetsu just popped up immediately. And then I kind of just put it in the back of my mind thinking, well, it hasn't got explained this long. When would be the appropriate time during this fight to explain how Madara did everything? And I almost thought, well, I guess it's just not going to get addressed. Maybe it just seemed fishy. I'm glad that it finally did get addressed, that Madara basically, you know, orchestrated everything. I'm curious if there was any orchestration prior to this, because, again, some of the remarks that he made seemed as though, like, he was stalking Obito even before then, how he knew about the whole elderly thing, and how Obito was, like, you know, catering to, like, elderly people or whatever. So definitely, I'm curious if there was anything beyond that, but we probably won't at this point find out if there is. I mean, I highly doubt it, but at the very least, we know that that day he did indeed orchestrate for Rin to be chased by the Mist Ninja, and he pretty much had everything orchestrated, and he was on some eyes and shit. So I'm glad we finally got that revelation, because it did seem very coincidental, and it's like, oh, it just so happened that this happened, but to find out that Madara did that, and it was all to bring him to the dark side on some, like, Star Wars shit, you must come to the dark side, definitely was a nice, interesting revelation, and overall, it kind of, in a way, is like a reality check slap to Obito. I mean, he already had a million of those throughout this arc, don't get me wrong, but, like, a lot of what he did was once again based on a lie from this man. This man orchestrated all that, and had he not done so, he might have eventually just went back to his village. Yeah, he would have been a cripple or whatever, but at least he could have been with his friends again and not have to suffer through the trauma and do all the bullshit he did. So in essence, once again, it just proves that Madara is indeed the source of everything, and the way he did shit was just, like, fucked up. Like, he was on some eyes and shit, a little bit more sick in a way, because, like, he was fucking with little kids or whatever. It's like, you're a creepy motherfucker, Madara. But in a sense, at the end of the day, it does show that Obito was a weak person and Madara preyed on him. And I don't know if that was like a social commentary on, like, some people can prey on the young, so I don't know where the fuck Kishimoto was going with that. It just, at the end of the day, Obito was weak and Madara capitalized on it. But I'm curious if, again, it was anything further than that. Like, he knew about this kid, maybe, from the Zetsu. They were following him, and maybe he orchestrated everything, even in Kakashi Gaiden. A little bit confused on the whole situation where Limbo Madara is, like, trapped with some rods. I was just like, so he has like a clone with a rod holding down Limbo Madara. So I guess the Limbo power is out the question for right now, as long as Naruto has that clone there holding it down. But I imagine Madara is going to immediately, once he figures out that Limbo is, you know, pretty much on a standstill, he's going to go there and wipe out the clone instantly. One of the big things I got to mention, though, is what the fuck was going on with Naruto regrowing an eye in Kakashi's socket. Pretty much, it almost seems as though with his healing powers, because I'm guessing what that is that's like beyond fucking healing powers. Like, I guess he gave an ability to where he could regrow organs that are like missing, or regrow just anything from a human body that is missing. So that's why I went. It almost, in a way, makes Sakura's one true ability that she brings to the table as far as the third member of Team 7, you know, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, the healing ability. It almost is like, well, you're not even needed for that now because Naruto could do this. On one half, it's like, it almost comes across as like BS, like, how the fuck is he regrowing eyes? Like, how strong was this Sage of Six Paths power? Can Sasuke do something like that as well? Or is it just that Hagoromo gave him these specific abilities? Is it because of his nature chakra that adds to the Sage of Six Paths abilities that he's able to do things like this? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, first, he's able to restore Guy's life when Guy should be dead. You know, the 8 gates. I gave my already opinion on that thing. No need to go in there. But that was one of the things. And then now he's able to regrow sockets. So it's almost as if he is like nature itself in a way. So definitely a little bit like, I'm hoping that this isn't a permanent power that Naruto has, because at this point, nobody will ever be able to challenge him, and he can almost become, if truly he defeats Madara, he can become like on some dictatorship or something like that, because this is God-level powers from the Sage of Six Paths. So definitely I would like a little bit of an explanation of these powers, because Naruto can't even explain it himself. He's just like, well, you see, I did the thing, and the thing, it was kind of like, you know, right there. But yeah, I definitely hope we get an explanation at some point regarding that whole eye regrowing thing and how he was able to restore a guy's life, because as of right now, it just kind of seems like, where the fuck is this all coming from? Like, I know he has the Sage's powers, but like, this is a god's power at this point. This is like godly shit. And also, once again, it fodderizes Sakura's position as Team 7 even further. Like, her healing powers is garbage compared to what Naruto can do. Like, she's trying to heal Kakashi, like, you know, I'll try. And he's like, let me pop a sucker back in that bad boy. Now, to be honest with you, the flashbacks that we got with, you know, Team 7 and everything, it was unnecessary to a certain degree, simply because I felt if you were going to get those flashbacks and they were going to be done in this chapter, then we should have got somewhat of Sasuke's answer of what he is trying to do, because it's obvious that it's very vague with him saying Hokage. It seems odd. It seems out of place. If we were going to get those flashbacks, then definitely it should have led to something other than just having flashbacks for the sake of flashbacks and nostalgia. While on an enjoyment level, I did get chills. Like I said in the opening of this video, I felt like, oh man, you know, it's going full circle and everything. So on an emotional aspect and just overall nostalgia and, you know, my love for the series, that kind of gives me that, like, you know, oh fuck yeah, Team 7 again, man. It all comes full circle. And I guess in a sort of message way, it's good, but it just felt unnecessary in the sense that it didn't drive the plot, and it just kind of was like, well, we got some flashbacks, Kakashi asked a question, and I guess it was giving Kakashi's perspective on things, because he says, Naruto, you've already surpassed Hokage, but you still want to be Hokage. Sakura, she still has, like, these feelings for Sasuke, but it's just different. I don't think it's anymore like she wants to be his #1 gal. It's more so just, I want to save this guy. He was my first crush, my first love, but that's the extent of it. Still not feeling, you know, I'm still feeling a certain way at the sense, like, even Kakashi's like, this dude tried to kill you and you're still trying to save him. You're a nice girl. I'd say you're a little bit too gullible and naive to a certain degree when it comes to that situation. Like, he's a big boy. He can take care of himself at this point. And in all honesty, I just really wish we would have get some sort of answer from Sasuke if we were going to have those flashbacks, because while, again, it was nostalgia, it was kind of like, yeah, give us a fucking answer. So as a whole with this chapter, it didn't really do too much progression. We did get some revelations, and we did get pretty much the fight is restarted. Also, it seems as though Obito might be dead, because he pretty much doing so, removing that seal is what started locking up his body, and he couldn't do shit at this point in the other dimension. Madara either killed him or fucked him up real bad, ripped the Rinnegan out, and left him there, and he's going to eventually teleport back and give Kakashi that other eye, although I'm not sure if Kakashi's even going to have Sharingan anymore. He's probably not going to be Kakashi of the Sharingan, since Naruto gave him a new eye, and it doesn't even have Sharingan anymore. Originally, I was wondering, okay, is Obito going to give him the other eye before he dies? Is he going to give him Rinnegan? Rinnegan at this point, I don't think he's going to give it, because I believe Madara, you know, he's coming back and he's probably going to have both Rinnegan in his eye. So Kakashi probably is going to just go without for the rest of the series. I thought maybe he might even sit out being a Shinobi. Like, what is he going to do with one eye? But now that he has two normal eyes, maybe this could be what Kakashi's fate is. He's just not going to be Kakashi of the Sharingan anymore. He's just going to be Kakashi the Jonin. A couple of problems with the chapter was mainly Naruto regrowing that eye. It's starting to feel a little bit, or very overwhelming for that matter, the abilities that he has, and it's also making Sakura's position seem very weak as far as, like, you know, being a healer. Also, the whole thing with the flashback, while it felt good, it at the same time kind of felt like, where was it leading to? It almost felt as though there was a missing page, like Sasuke should have said something after Madara, you know, started teleporting back. And the way Obito was hyping up the Rinnegan, like, if he has these two, they're not going to be able to defeat him. It has to mean that since he's the original owner, it gives him a power-up, because if not, then, you know, like I said, Nagato had both the Rinnegan, and Naruto was still able to defeat him. He had great power, but it wasn't overwhelming to this point. I believe Naruto and Sasuke at this point are far above what pain was. Definitely some of the best bits, though, is finding out Madara planned all that shit. It was about time we finally got that, because if not, it just seemed so weird and, like, just out of, like, yeah, this just happened to happen. So I'm glad we got the revelation with that. Also, seemingly Obito might be dead at this point, and Madara finally got his true eyes, so yet again another power up for Madara. And Kishimoto clearing up some of those situations, like why Obito lost to Kakashi was mainly due to him trying to get the Jinchuriki power, so he needed that seal off, so he actually threw the fight. I felt that that added to previous content and made previous content make a little bit more sense. And also cleared up a question a lot of people have, why Obito never had, like, you know, these extraordinary powers that people wanted. While he did have some power with the Rinnegan, without both eyes, he's, you know, not at the max of what the Rinnegan can do, and also it's just so overwhelming. That's why he had one Sharingan and one Rinnegan, so that cleared something up as well. Seems as though the Uchiha can't really sustain the power of the Rinnegan. So overall, I'm going to give this chapter a 7 out of 10. It was a good chapter for the most part, but it did have some of those issues that I just explained. And yeah, that's where I'm standing with this one. 7 out of 10. It was good, but it definitely was, like, you know, just a transition. It did do some explanations, but as far as progression, it was barely any. It was just mainly like, okay, a fight is starting up again. I like the revelation for the most part. I saw that coming. It was just like, was it going to actually happen? Was Kishimoto going to actually implement it into the story at some point? So I wasn't like, oh shit, you know, Madara. I kind of figured for the most part that that was just way too fishy to be coincidence. And just overall, I'm looking forward to seeing round 2. Now that Madara came back, he's going to be even more powered up. And is Obito dead? Let me know what you guys think. First of all, again, do you think Obito is dead? Is he going to come back and give Kakashi the Sharingan, or Kakashi's going to stay permanently with these two regular eyes? Also, what is your whole take on the whole thing with Naruto regrowing eyes and the guy shit? Is it, like, putting you off a little bit? Do you feel as two hacks or something? And what is your take on Madara being like the new Aizen with this? I planned everything just as planned. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say, or you enjoyed the video, please give me a like. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.